Good evening. Welcome to Xang Kevlar TV. I'm your host, Xang Kevlar. Coming out of NYC today, we following up with the governor's rambunctious attack on ICE and immigration policy by constantly trying to impede ICE's enforcement efforts. Right. So what we know as of today is the governor does not want the NYPD to assist ICE in any way when it comes to civil immigration enforcement. So I really wanted to bring the point home that when you're talking about civil enforcement of laws, law enforcement always assists in that. Right here in New York City and throughout New York State, the sheriff's department, depending on what jurisdiction you live in the state, you got the city marshals, and you also have the NYPD, who are always, I would say when they're evicting somebody pursuant to a court order, the NYPD are always present. Now, when you do a little research on the matter, it'll say for the most part that they're there to keep the peace. Okay, fine, but they're also assisting in the peacekeeping that the sheriffs and the marshals are there to execute the warrant, and then the police are always there to keep the peace and make sure, or try to ensure the safety of everybody involved, the tenants, the marshals, whoever. But understand, when people are getting evicted, you're gonna find that comes with a lot of resistance from people. Nobody wants to be kicked out, so ultimately there are arrests made a lot of times, and people are charged with crimes when they don't go quietly. In the NYPD or any other law enforcement jurisdiction who happens to be present will intervene, step in, and arrest anybody who is uncooperative. So I said that to say that that's okay. That you will never hear these liberal politicians give any pushback to the idea of law enforcement assisting in that type of civil enforcement. But Governor Hochul had the audacity to say right out of her mouth that she doesn't want the NYPD assisting ICE in civil enforcement. So that's a contradiction in policy right there. Everything should be across the board. Same policy for the same situations. Civil enforcement needs to be done, and you want to have law enforcement present so the civil action could go down smoothly. And I want to echo the sentiments of Tom Homan, who constantly says the more resistance New York City and New York State gives to ICE and won't let ICE pick up people who are already in New York City jails and in New York State prisons and other jails throughout the state, let them go into those jails when these people are being released, and don't release them back into society, into the public. No, let us take them and carry out deportation proceedings for these people. But New York State is impeding and obstructing ICE from doing their job. They're protecting the illegals at any cost. They're putting these dangerous people back out on the street. And Governor Hochul is enabling this travesty to continue to take place. So I really hope that the Justice Department and the White House and this administration really comes down with a hammer on them for this behavior, because it's endangering everybody and it's causing life in the city to be less safe, less cohesive, and it's giving you a vibe of like the constant lowering of the standard of living around here is just going further and further into the basement. Also, speaking of Democrats, so I'll continue to speak on this issue, especially as it pertains to New York State, because New York State is a sanctuary state, and these sanctuary policies are in direct contradiction to federal law, and due to the supremacy clause of the Constitution, the supremacy clause overrides state and local laws. Federal law overrides state and local laws. So these states and municipalities that are openly defying ICE, I really sincerely hope that these people, these politicians who are ignoring the will of the people and doing whatever they think, whatever they want to protect illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, people who don't have a legal right to be in this country. And we have laws on the book that tells you that if people are in this country illegally, they need to be removed. So these leftist politicians are going to die on this hill of protecting illegal immigration, open border policies, amnesty. People like me, real Americans, people who have lineage and heritage going back in this country for uh, generations now, who don't have relatives scattered throughout the earth or throughout the globe. No, all my people here in America, and they're all citizens. So the immigration issue for people like me is a non-starter. And that brings me to my next point, and my next topic is black Democrats, black liberals, black American liberals, black American liberals. These people in Congress are really playing with y'all intelligence right now. They're making all this noise about the adjustment that they made to the Voting Rights Act, the Supreme Court. Now, there are several things that I could say about this issue, but I want to keep this kind of short. And I want to say that the Democrats don't do anything. All they do is react to stuff. They're never proactive. So anything that the Trump administration or the Supreme Court is doing or the Republican House and Senate is doing now was foreseeable when the Democrats had power. So things like the Voting Rights Act should have been shored up a long time ago if they felt that it could be overturned. They should have gave it more teeth over the decades since it's been enacted. But no, they sit around and wait until it gets before the Supreme Court with a court that has a 6 conservative majority. And the conservatives have never been in favor of the Voting Rights Act to begin with. So I'm saying that to say that this was foreseeable. The overturning of certain aspects of this act were foreseeable. I'll be honest, I don't really know what the full impact of this change is going to be. I know one thing, I'm going to vote. So anyone saying, oh, well, blacks won't be able to vote now and our political power has been diminished and we don't have representation, that's lies and propaganda. The Democrats haven't represented black Americans with any sort of effectiveness, I would say, my whole life. Grew up in the projects. There's still people that I grew up with in the projects still living there. That's neither here nor there. All I'm saying is life has never gotten any better for Black America because of anything the Democrats did for them. So this voting rights, sky is falling. We're going back into slavery, Jim Crow era. I mean, just think about that. Are we really going to be allow ourselves to be subject to any treatment that denies us our constitutional rights? How would that be enforced exactly? The people that are saying that sound like scared cowards. I'm thinking about Roland S. Martin. I'm thinking about people like Bakari Sellers, who crashed out on CNN a couple of days ago with his fake alarm and fake panic. I'm glad the Democrats are going to lose seats. Good. That way they can't protect these illegals. That way they won't never be able to reopen that border. That way they won't be able to take our gun rights away, our Second Amendment. That way they won't be able to, teach your 3-year-old children to transition. Okay? The Democrats endorse policies that are not even good for Black America in any way. They use your vote. They use the vote of the Black American, the Democrat Party. They use your vote in order to get power to help other groups. That's what they do. They use your political power and they use the history of Black American struggle, and now they want you to transfer the gains from that struggle to another group of people and just sit there and be used while every Democrat city in this country, near as I can tell, looks like um, some type of post-apocalyptic world where nothing but zombies are roaming. I mean, just think about it for a second. Look at the condition of people who are strung out on narcotics and illegal drugs and prescription drugs that are taken to the streets, and now they're completely strung out. They're suffering from mental health issues. They're getting high all the time, and all they do now is wander around looking for their next hit. And this is allowed to go on from city to city to city in these Democrat neighborhoods. It's destroying the neighborhoods, it's destroying the quality of life. Yet people keep voting for this. I'm looking at New York City, I'm looking at Chicago. You got a strong movement out there in Chicago of Black Chicago and Black Americans who want to turn the city red, but they're not getting enough support from their own people. So you have a small contingent of very vocal Black Americans who are fed up with the Democrat shenanigans. And we all should be. And any of you effeminate men out there who are angry about people who support Donald Trump's policies, I don't respect you. I don't respect any man that needs or feels compelled to be led by a woman or anything like that. I don't respect any of you. So you don't speak for me as a black man in America. You don't speak for me. Roland Martin, D.L. Hughley, um, who else? A lot of Al Sharpton, Toure. I'm gonna name all you despicable sellouts. Okay, we don't represent illegal immigrants. We don't represent illegal aliens. This is our country. We don't owe those people anything. We don't have to open our borders or our cities or our states or our neighborhoods to these people. And anybody that supports that agenda is a complete sellout to the black community and to the American people at large. But if you're black and you are endorsing this, and I've already named some of the main culprits. There's another guy. Um, I'm gonna name all of you. Before it's all said and done, because we see you. We see what you're doing, and it's disgusting. Why would we vote Democrat if the Democrats won't even stand up and proclaim that their main duty as sworn oath office holders is to the American people, the American citizens, not to illegal immigrants? The Democrats refuse to acknowledge that. That was despicable. Why are they running for office when they don't want to represent the people who they want their votes? It's it's bizarre is what it is. So just to make it clear, when these 2026 midterms coming up now, and with the redistricting maps, I hope the Republicans maintain power. If Black America wants to get more political power, I think that we should reshuffle everything. Don't be dependent on being represented by these far left, lunatic, elitist, Democrat liberals. And if there's a separate issue with us as Black Americans being targeted in a meaningful way that we can see, there's a disenfranchisement afoot, then we'll deal with it then. We don't need the Democrats and we don't need the illegals to support us or get us what we need or want out of this government. We can get it without them. And I don't like it when people ask, what have the Republicans done for you as black people? The same thing they done for white people. Smaller government, lower taxes, job opportunities, a strong economy. Blacks and whites in America, that's what we get when we vote Republican. When you vote Democrat, you get welfare systems and uh, dilapidating cities that are falling apart. You get your tax money being sent abroad and being spent on illegal immigrants. You see, that's a false premise that black people in America who vote need to get some special earmark concession with their name on it from a politician in order to feel like we're prospering. Just live life as an American and you should be fine. And unless you yourself encounter some form of racial discrimination, then hire a lawyer and seek a remedy. But this dependency on the Democrat Party has to stop. These people have gone insane. Just look at the Democrat policies on immigration or illegal immigration from 20 years ago, 10 years ago even. They were much more in line with what Donald Trump is enforcing now. You enter the country illegally, you get sent back. You commit a crime, you automatically getting sent back. Democrats don't want illegal aliens to be deported even if they commit crime in our country. Even if they commit violent crime in our country, they don't want them to be deported ever. They would rather them go to our prisons if they even decide to prosecute or hold them accountable for the crime. But let's just say they do that. They'd rather send them to the prison, give them a life sentence, pay for their room and board for 5 to 10 years, have them come out, hopefully rehabilitate them, and maybe make them a constituent one day, a voting constituent, part of their voting block. That's where they're at with it. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up with them. I've never been a registered Democrat. And, I thank God for that. But these midterms are extremely important. And I'm so glad that these Democrats are not able to gerrymander their way into pretending that they're standing up for oppressed minority populations, historically oppressed, when that's not what they're doing anymore. Maybe 50 years ago, 60 years ago. But today, the Democrats are using the votes of the people of America to benefit the entire globe. They send in our money overseas. They're spending it on migrants. Not just the migrants. I don't know if I don't know how true this might be, but it stands to reason if they were spending money on the migrants here in America, because remember, this migrant issue was not just happening here. These people, these NGOs, and it was just exposed just a few days ago. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, confirmed that this entire migration thing was a globalist conspiracy spearheaded by the United Nations. That's right. So when you saw the migrants in Italy, Germany, France, Britain, Greece, uh, and Switzerland and Sweden, all of those migrants that invaded those countries, that was a coordinated effort by a global cabal. Like I said, that was spearheaded by the United Nations, it was they wanted our country to basically come to the United Nations or submit some type of report to the United Nations on the progress of the migrant project that's been taking place ever since Biden was in office, even prior to that. Because before Biden got in, and they kept saying, even during Trump's first term, oh, the people are coming to the border, unaccompanied minors, caravans, and I'm like, well, why are they making this trip for nothing? I didn't realize that at that time we had not, like, we were still letting certain people come into the country even under Trump. So there was this. So this was part of a global. Yeah, I'll call it a conspiracy because that's what it sounds like, and that's what if it walks like a conspiracy and talks like a conspiracy. You understand? So I don't know why the Democrats agreed to this. All of them, it was like sides were drawn. Oh, open borders, and the Republicans have been accusing the Democrats of wanting open borders for the longest, but I thought they were, just exaggerating. I didn't, but no, the Biden administration proved that they wanted open borders. So the reason why I'm going down this history lesson and revisiting this issue from 2021 and 2022 when Biden got into office, so we don't forget how we got here. And the nerve of these Democrats thinking that we should give them power back. Give them power back so that they can give the illegals amnesty and free health care and free child care and free housing and free Social Security and jobs that shouldn't go to them and free training and education. No. That's what you'll be voting for if you put these Democrats back in power. A complete socialist, open borders, third world takeover of our country. So thank goodness, and thank God, they won't be able to gerrymander their way into power. The maps are going to be drawn not based on race and where a certain race lives. So those black Americans who want to vote Democrat because they feel like they're being disenfranchised, there's no hope for you. It's really not. If you want to if you want to do that, then it's just no hope for you because they're not going to do anything for you. They're not. They're not going to do anything. And you're going to say, well, what the Republicans going to do? I already said it. It's just run the government and make sure everybody has the fairest chance possible. We don't need the special earmarks no longer apply just to black people. So I don't want it. Keep it. That's what people got to realize. We don't need all the welfare programs and all the social programs. We need jobs, good paying jobs, good credit, and affordable homes to purchase. Not living in third world conditions with a bunch of third world illegal aliens that don't have any business being here. That is the number one concern of mine when it comes to how this country should shape up, because the damn illegals are, not that they're like bad people in general, it's just the circumstances or how they're here. It just don't work with how our society functions, and it's not fair to people who have the legal authority to be here.
Let's see. Hmm, it's a bad Picasso. So, this is mommy. This is me shouting